my last couple of fights, I've been so scared, to not make weight,
Oh. What up, everyone? Shakiel Mahjouri here for CBS Sports, and you know who this is. She is the UFC's 5th-ranked strawweight contender and one of the most accomplished grapplers of all time. Like, lose yourself, she'll have you choking how. Everybody's joking now. This is such a stupid intro. Mackenzie Dern, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm really excited. In camp right now, so really excited for the fight coming up pretty soon. April 9th. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, UFC 273, which, I think, candidly, some of the UFC cards, the pay-per-view ones, at no fault of the UFC's often, not the most stacked. I think so far, in terms of just quality up and down, 273 is the one that I've been the most excited for this year. You've got Volkanovski versus Korean Zombie, Sterling versus Jung, that's 2 title fights, Gilbert Burns versus Khamzat Chimaev, and of course, Mackenzie Dern, Tecia Torres, a very important strawweight matchup when we're starting to make sense of the strawweight rankings and title contention. Before we get there, happy early birthday. I know that's coming up in a couple of weeks there.
Yeah.
You attended a Proper 12 takeover party. Was Mr. McGregor at that event? Did you have a chance to cross paths there?
No, I didn't see him there. But I mean, yeah, it was a fun party, It was kind of like my last get out before the fight, So it was really just kind of cool to get one more date night, me and Wesley, my husband. So it was good. It was a fun time.
Between you and your husband, who's of course a pro surfer, I'm sure you get into these sort of business parties. How do you like those vibes? I've been in a few. It's not really for me. I prefer the more intimate, social gatherings. What do you make of these sort of branded business parties?
Oh, we have fun. We're definitely the couple that's we're there for business, but we kind of just forget about it. We're having fun. And I
I
mean,
love that.
I don't know, let's say the minimum time is 3 hours, we're there 6, 7, you know what I mean? We're just really taking advantage. When we have a babysitter, that's the time to go, So yeah, we definitely we're everyone's like, man, your guys' vibe is so good, we're dancing and having fun, and it's
Well,
good.
those are the athletes you want to sponsor. No clocking in, no clocking out there from start to finish. Let's talk a little bit about this fight, right? I think for a lot of jiu-jitsu practitioners who make the way over to MMA, we talk a lot about sort of the striking having to catch up. But I think the wrestling is another very important element of that because, it's not jiu-jitsu where grappling is a must-be component of the fight, right? If you have someone with great takedown defense, that's going to be a problem. For you, what has been the most important tool to add to the repertoire, the striking or really hauling over that wrestling so that you can get someone like Tecia Torres, who's a great wrestler, to the ground?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely my wrestling is my, I guess, weakest point, That's definitely a hard part for me because, sometimes I'm in weird positions. I prefer more even judo takedowns than wrestling takedowns. It's just wrestling so against everything I've grown up with. You know what I mean? Like the posture and, you want your back straight and explosive. And jiu-jitsu is very the moment that you have some strength against you, you don't go through it. You take, you go with it. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a different, for me to go against wrestling. But I feel like what's helped me the most is just my striking. I feel like even if I get my wrestling better, I'm doing wrestling in this camp right now, because I felt like my last fight with Marina, obviously my takedowns was something that I wish I would have been more on point. So to be able to bring wrestling to this camp, I still feel like because I'm so good on the ground, the first step I take forward, anyone who I fight, they take 10 steps back. I'm so aware of the takedowns, even if I get my wrestling better. So I really feel like for me, that's really good and dangerous on the ground. And everyone who fights me, they don't want to go to the ground with me. My striking is really what sets up all the takedowns and everything else. Just getting them to keep their hands up and having to think about the striking. And if a punch, oh shoot, Mackenzie's getting punches better and stuff like that. And I think my striking is really what is helping just me getting more comfortable and going to takedowns and kind of hiding my takedowns a little bit more.
Yeah, well, we've seen the rare person who decides to engage with you on the ground doesn't usually end very well for them. When you sort of analyze you versus Tecia fight preview stuff, what's the biggest advantage each person has going into this fight?
I mean, I think Tisha, her biggest advantage is like that she's fast, she's quick, and she moves well. I think she hits and gets out, and just
Mm-hmm.
her good cardio, and she's very fast, da, 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 and gets out in points and then gets out. So she has a lot of experience. I think most of her losses have been almost to all like ex champions, or champions like now. So I think she has her spirit experience and just her footwork. And then mine, I think my biggest strength for this fight is just that I just keep going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't stop going forward. You know what I mean? And I mean, eventually, I wish it was 5 rounds. Now that
Yeah.
I was used to 3 rounds, then when I went to 5, now I like having that extra
Really?
time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, of course, we want to finish in the first, but yeah, I mean, just knowing that we only have 3 rounds, I want to get it over with fast. So
I totally get where you're coming from. Oftentimes when you see someone come from the regionals to the UFC and they've got like 10 first round knockouts, I'm very suspicious of those people because you don't know what happens after 4 or 5 minutes. And fighters often talk about the importance of octagon experience. I imagine it's hard to make that switch. Was originally supposed to be a headliner, wasn't it? At some point, was it supposed to be
uh,
a fight night headliner at some point?
not that I know
No.
of.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I
Yeah,
don't
I'm mixed.
to me.
As we talked pre-interview, with all the events swirling around every week, the things get confused
Yeah.
from time to time. Now, obviously, Marina Rodriguez is coming off that win against Yan Xiaonan. We're sort of looking at Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza next. Where do you think a win over Tecia Torres sort of puts you in the ladder of contenders? Like, I would imagine that at most you're probably one more fight away after that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all just depends on how big of a statement I can make. I think if
Mm,
like, I get in, I submit or knock out, and it's a great, great, performance, then I think definitely we're closer than farther. But if it's, like a hard fight, maybe judge's decision or something like that, I'm definitely not in the rush to get to the belt so fast. I really want to make sure I get ready and be prepared to fight. Maybe I'd like to fight, I don't know, maybe the loser of Carla and Rue,
mm,
or just someone like I would always like to fight like a wrestler. I've never fought a wrestler before. I fought jiu-jitsu girl, I fought striker, but I like to see kind of how my game is, kind of a little bit similar to Marina, right? Marina's
mm-hmm.
she's been fighting all the different styles. So I think that's what makes her feel so prepared to go to the belt, because she's been able to do good against a lot of different styles, and I like to test myself in that way. So I mean, I think it all just depends on how good I do April 9th. If I get a big statement, I think definitely will be a lot closer to the belt than if it's a close fight.
For sure. We've seen some people make the jump from jiu-jitsu to MMA and be so successful. Others struggled a bit. For you, what's sort of the key difference between a major jiu-jitsu player who makes a good splash in MMA and those who don't?
Um, I mean, one I think just their overall style in jiu-jitsu.
Mm,
What their styles in jiu-jitsu, I think that takes a big toll on how they are in MMA. For example, like Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall, I think
mm-hmm,
he's won a lot of fights. He's won a few fights. But his style, just kind of very on the ground, like more guard game and stuff. I mean, he catches a lot of people by surprise, and even they know that he has heel hooks coming. Even his jiu-jitsu, in the jiu-jitsu world, he's always been like that. Like done really good. Um, hadn't hasn't quite got to like world champion, but has won like different fights. Everyone knows that they can't make a mistake with him, kind of thing. But kind of if they can block his game, then they can get the win. So I think like Durinho, for example, Jacaré, Damian Maia, people who have been always kind of like way more aggressive in jiu-jitsu, all around fighters. I think when they brought that to the MMA, they've been able to adapt a little bit better, because I
mm-hmm.
have to not care too much about getting punched in the face. And for us who are
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu fighters, it's hard to like to get punched in the face, you know? So when you see the few of us that don't mind getting punched in the face, I think we're the ones that are able to make that adaptation a little better.
I usually put out a thread online, shout out to SureDog, and get some fan submitted Q&As. You know, a lot of times the media, the fans, they sort of beat on fighters when they're missing weight or they can't make weight, but this person made a very good observation, which is it seems like Mackenzie has got the weight cut down. What was sort of the eureka moment, or what sort of kicked in where you seem to be doing a really great job of not just making weight, but then also having the stamina for the full duration of the fights?
Yeah, my pregnancy, that's something I like keep talking about all the time. It's just my pregnancy really did like a restart on my whole, on my body, on my metabolism, on everything. You know, breastfeeding, I lost so much body fat with that. So kind of when I made the transition jiu-jitsu to MMA, and I was doing like these different types of weight cut where you know, they want you to lose water weight, and jiu-jitsu, we don't have that, you know, jiu-jitsu, we weigh in and we go and fight on the same moment, you know, so no one really cuts that way. I started the MMA career doing these different diets and stuff like that. My body, my hormones, everything just started, you know, getting unbalanced. And then also too, obviously, just kind of my focus too, when I was into the UFC, like, okay, I wasn't fighting to have like a career. I was just fighting in the moment, you know, okay, win a fight, all this hype, you know, go party after and this and that, you know. And then after I had my daughter, my body got restarted, kind of started from zero. I lost a lot of muscle mass too, but thankfully muscle and fat, I got started. And you're focused, you know what I mean? You have another person that depends on you.
Beautiful.
And so you say like, okay, I need to make sure, you know, I don't want to just like be a good fighter, but not really I want to make the most of this and get the wins and take my career farther as long as I can. And to do that, you need to win and have good performances. And to do that, you need to train and be focused. So kind of was all together. And yeah, I'm happy about it. Now my problem is that almost because of what I went through with not making weight and just all kind of like the negativity and criticism and everything, my last couple of fights, I've been so scared, you know, to not make weight, you know.
Wow, yeah.
I'm on top of it. My last fight, I weighed in 114.5. The weigh-in is 115. And the next day I was 116 on the day of the fight, you know. And for me, I wish I was heavier than that, you know, but I was so, no, I shouldn't eat anything. I want to make sure I make the weight, and calm down, don't worry, you can get it, you know. And it was kind of a little bit trauma. Now this camp, I'm working on keeping my weight heavier, you know, and just, it's under control, you know. Don't worry, Mackenzie, you got it. Don't be so scared. You ready? You know, I try not, it's hard for me to let go of like how much I suffered with those weight cuts and everything in the back. So I get really scared now, but now my loss and just being like, oh shoot, I didn't want to be 116. I wish I had maybe jumped back up to maybe 125 the day of the fight, you know, a little bit stronger. So now that kind of took over my traumas, and now I've learned, you know. And so now this fight, I think I'm going to come in really strong and even better than the last ones.
Well, congratulations. You know, just being on the media end of it, you see and you experience a little bit of that, but I can't imagine what it must be like to go through as a fighter, as a woman, especially when it comes, I mean, I like, maybe martial arts is a close second, but when it comes to just like conflicting experiences, nothing confuses me more than like weight and nutrition.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to hear that you're sort of getting past that, moving on. That's always really great to hear.
Thank you.
Okay, another thing. Obviously, you're the jiu-jitsu legend, Wellington, Megaton Diaz. Someone asked about the sort of pressures that come with that. Being raised in that environment. I kind of wanted to twist it a little bit. What did your dad want from you when it came to your jiu-jitsu journey? Because you started at 3, started competing at 14. I mean, you've won a title at every belt level, black belt by 19. What was his vision for you? Was it just to get into it? Did he have this idea that you're going to be this amazing combat sports fighter? Like, what was that like?
I mean, I don't know. That's a question
for him.
I need to ask him, but from what he's told me, you know, I mean, the first is first, he wanted a boy, you know, so from the get-go, he was like for a boy, you know, that he could like train and be like this world champion and things like that. And he says that because I was a surprise, like they waited until I was born to find out if I was a boy or girl. And when he found out, oh, it's a girl, he said, oh, like, okay, healthy, everything, happy. But now I won't be able to pressure her. You know what I mean? If she wants to do
Yeah.
ballet or something, you gotta let them, And as I started training and stuff, yeah, I mean, he never pressured me anything. He always let me do other sports. He definitely like, he definitely, I could do other sports as long as I was still doing jujitsu, so he didn't like, okay, you can't do jujitsu, or he still wanted me to do jujitsu, just I think more self-defense wise, and just to be able to, protect myself, discipline, those kind of, things that martial arts teach you. But he never pressured me on to like, oh, let's be a fighter and professional. You don't need to go to college or anything. Everything was always kind of like, I wanted to do that. And all because of what I saw from him, he was my idol, he was my role model. So I'd go to tournaments and everyone's like, talking about my dad, how my dad's, so good. And for a kid, you think like your dad's a superhero, So, man, that's so cool. I love to be on. I felt like he was like a celebrity, in the jiu-jitsu world kind of thing. So growing up, I wanted to be like him. And so I think he was happy with that. Definitely the MMA transition, he was totally against that. he didn't want me to have that. We have really comfortable and cool life in jiu-jitsu, like traveling the world, doing seminars. I mean, we weren't like the richest people, but we were rich in culture and just meeting lots of different people and competing in a happy life. And he said, man, look at this. This is fine. This is everything. You have all of this because of jiu-jitsu. Why do you want to go to MMA and get punched in the face? My beautiful daughter, And I said, no, Dad, let me go try it. Maybe we can maybe I can represent jiu-jitsu on an even bigger platform, And I feel like I represent jiu-jitsu when I fight in the UFC, And so it took him a couple fights until he finally wanted to go and watch me live. But then finally he did, and now he's way more comfortable, and now he's like, okay, you know what you're doing, and now he's really like tries to help me and get me hooked. Yeah, he's hooked 100%, so it's good. One of the frames he made for me with my gloves and stuff, he made it for my fight with Virna Jandiroba that we did, like almost we got fight of the night, but it was a 3 rounds standing up, so I was really surprised that the gloves and stuff that he stole of mine to make a frame
beautiful.
That was just a striking, So I was like, okay, so he likes me striking too.
That's good. Yeah, I can't imagine what it must be like the first time as a parent to watch your kid get in there. As we wrap up here, just to sort of flip that question, you've got a beautiful daughter. She looks equal parts adorable and vicious in her gi. What do you sort of envision for her when it comes to martial arts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same as my dad. I hope she doesn't, I'm hoping she doesn't decide to be like professional MMA fighter. Or she could follow her dad's footsteps and be a professional surfer, travel the world, be on the beach, get her tan on, and see beautiful places. But of course, if she decides to do it, who am I to say no, right? I do it all the time. She comes with me. She helps me in training all the time. She loves to be around, training, helping me with the water. She tells me to breathe in the middle of rounds. She's like, breathe. Hey. So she definitely understands it. But so I'll support her no matter what. But now, like you said, now I know what it's like to see, to even think about, I can imagine someone punching her in the face. Like, man, I hope she'll always be my girl, but I'll support her no matter what.
I think she packs a good punch herself. Sure. Okay, last thing, and I'll let you go here, Mackenzie. Obviously, you rep Brazil, you rep the US. So I've got a few categories here. You're going to make half the world angry, but I'd like you to sort of pick who the winner is, right? We're all about competition here. So between the US and Brazil, who has better food?
Food, Brazil.
Okay. What's your go-to bite?
To eat?
Yeah, in Brazil.
Man, I like rice, beans, and steak, and then when you go to sweets, oh my gosh, brigadeiro, the pizza.
I was just talking to RDA about brigadeiro.
Man, the pizzas are a whole nother level. The sweets, dessert pizzas, so good.
All right, who throws the better parties?
Brazil.
I thought that might be the case. Which country has the better TV shows?
TV shows.
Or movies, whatever your flavor.
No, United States. Better movie. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel good, but well, we'll leave it at 3. You know, I don't want this to go to a draw, so we'll leave it at 3. Mackenzie Dern, thank you so much for doing this today. I want to leave you with the last word, so I'll do my part very quickly. Guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. As always, if you can please subscribe, notification bell, leave a comment, let us know. Let us know what submission you'd like Mackenzie Dern to pull out. At UFC 273, she takes on Tecia Torres. Tecia, if there's anything you want to let the people know, please let them know. Oh, yeah, and of course, full CBS Sports feature in the bio of this video. You can check that out. And thank you to CBS Sports, as always, for empowering the video. Mackenzie, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me, and hope everyone tunes in for April 9th. We're going to put on a show for everybody. And yeah, let's do it. Thank you so much.